And folks, that was Edie Stark singing live to you. Oh my goodness. The outrageously gorgeous Becky has just brought me a cup of coffee and made my day. I guess I've got the world's best job in broadcasting, folks. I'm right here in the midst of tropical beauty, and one of those beauties is coming through the door right now.
Hey guys, it's Will with Terrible Infant. Guess what? Got a Blu-ray pickups video. I got a fat stack of them right here. These are all from Mill Creek Entertainment, who we've covered a lot of stuff from in the past because they put out awesome stuff and we really like it. They do a lot of 80s stuff especially, and as you know, we have 80s Nerdgasm channel on Instagram, so that's perfect for that audience, people that really like the movies that Mill Creek puts out. So what do we have first? We actually have a twofer from Andy Sidaris. You know that we love big old Andy. I've actually already reviewed this one. Hard Hunted. There's Roberta Vasquez on the cover and Donna Spear, who are regulars of the Andy Sidaris troupe. Cynthia Brimhall is also in this film, and basically like all the people that you see in who are in Guns, who are in Do or Die, and some of them stretching back to Hard Ticket to Hawaii, even, and like Malibu Express. Here's the disc here. So this is fun, and then it introduces a new villain who is British, who lives on a yacht, and has there's actually these two women who are undercover agents who also happen to be Playboy playmates, as is often the case with the lead characters in Andy Sidaris films. And they have seduced this villain, and he has gotten his hands on a little jade Buddha that is like a nuclear launch device type thing, or like it arms nuclear weapons. So if he has that, then if he gets his hands on a nuke, then he can create an active nuclear missile or bomb or whatever, and the whole kind of James Bond villain type thing. But Mike and I have watched this movie already, and we're just trying to figure out a format to review it. I think we might do a Zoom review, actually, so we'll just hop on Zoom and talk about it. But we both really love this movie. Absolutely no decline in quality from the previous Malibu Bay films, Andy Sidaris films. So if you've seen those, then you know exactly what to expect. If you haven't, you should go and watch them immediately. We actually did a ranking of the first 6 in the series, so I'll put a link in the description of the video to that, so you can go and check that out. But they're basically like ground zero for like amazing 80s B movies, trash movies, like straight to VHS type movies. Like what I mean, I do think that some of these may have come out in theaters. I don't honestly know. Back in the day, I think they did, because I actually got, for Mike's birthday this year, I got him a Hard Ticket to Hawaii like original release poster that I think it was billed as like a theatrical release poster from the seller I bought it from on eBay. But they're really awesome, like self-aware, like tons of nudity, tons of ridiculous kind of, like, it's like violence, but it's not like super bloody disgusting violence. It's just like ridiculous, silly, like shooting ridiculous, like gimmicky James Bond type weapons. They're just like awesome, amazing like movies, especially for like, hey, it's Friday night and I'm hanging out, I'm drinking some beers, or I'm hanging out with my friends, whatever, and I want to watch something ridiculous. So also from Andy Sidaris and Malibu Bay films, it's Fit to Kill. It's the next movie in the series, and actually this is the guy I was telling you about, the British villain there, and I think that actually is Cynthia Brimhall. Is that her? Maybe it's not. This is Julie Strain, who is in all the video introductions to Andy Sidaris' films. So if you've ever seen any of his movies on Blu-ray from the Mill Creek Blu-rays, and these are from 4K remasters from the original film prints, the Blu-rays that they put out, so they look really good. And they have like a lot of fun bonus features on them. I'll also include a link in the description of this video to my review of the Hard Hunted Blu-ray, because there's a commentary track on there and then like 40 minutes worth of behind-the-scenes type stuff. It's really fun too. So you can listen to me blab on and on about that. But there's the disc, and so I mean, we haven't watched this one yet, so we will do a review of this one, and I will also be back with a review of this Blu-ray, because there are more fun bonus features on here. But I believe that because the villain gets away at the end of, I mean, not to spoil it, but they don't kill the villain at the end of Hard Hunted, so there he is, and he's back in Fit to Kill, unless it's the same. They do occasionally bring actors back, not in the same part. So like Eric Estrada was the villain in one of the films, and then he came back as like a hero in the next film, different part, and no one recognized that he looked exactly like the villain that they were just fighting in the previous installment of their adventures. But anyway, there you go, Fit to Kill. That's another Andy Sidaris film, and we are really excited to get to that one. Speaking of badass action and legendary figures in the history of cinema, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, what do I have here? Wesley Snipes. Hell yes, this is a Wesley Snipes 2-pack. We have The Fan with Robert De Niro, which is a movie that I have seen years and years and years ago. That came out in the 90s, right? Excuse me. 1996, yeah, so I probably saw that in like 96, 97. when it first came out on video. And so, good God, 24 years ago, it makes me feel so old. But that's the one where Wesley Snipes plays a baseball player, and Robert De Niro is like obsessed with him. As like an obsessive fan, kind of like one of those like crazy person like early to mid '90s thrillers like Fatal Attraction and Basic Instinct, and like what are the other like over the top crazy obsessive people like thriller movies of that era. Good film. And who directed? Tony Scott. Yeah, so there you go. He's famous, right? Ridley Scott's brother. And then The Contractor, which is actually not a movie that I'm familiar with. It came out in 2007. Retired marksman James Dial, who is Wesley Snipes, lives a secluded life on his ranch in Montana, but haunted by his failure to exterminate one of the world's most notorious terrorists, he is approached by his old employers to finish the job in London. So there you go. And then guess what? I'm not even reading the rest of the description, but I'm going to assume that somebody sets him up. It kind of sounds like Shooter, the Mark Wahlberg movie, which I enjoyed. I think is that Antoine Fuqua who directed that? I honestly can't remember, but Shooter, not this movie. But I enjoyed that movie, and this sounds kind of similar, and who doesn't enjoy Wesley Snipes? So I think I'll have a fun time with that. The Fan and Contractor, there you go. And I will be back with a review of this set, too. I don't think there are any bonus features on here, but, I can review the movies, kind of talk about the presentation and how they fit together as, like, a double feature and, that kind of stuff that people enjoy to talk about. So what else do I have? This is a movie that's actually really interesting to me, and I will talk about why once I show you what it is. It is called Heroes. Look at this. So, Fonzie, what? Indiana Jones / Han Solo, and then Sally Field. They like me. They really like me. Is that Sally Field when she won her Oscar? Who did that? These are three insanely famous people, and they're in this movie that I had never heard of, and I'm assuming that you have probably never heard of, unless you were, seeing everything that came out in 1977. This was probably not Harrison Ford's most successful film of 1977. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I'm pretty sure of that. And so this is what's interesting to this movie, or about me, interesting to me about this movie. There it is. Henry Winkler and Sally Field play two off-center characters who find love when they least expect it in a moving comedy. Jack, who is Henry Winkler, is a troubled yet high-spirited Vietnam vet who embarks on a cross-country odyssey to open a worm farm and prove his self-worth. En route, he befriends Carol, who is attempting to sort things out before she marries an old flame, and they tear through their laugh and tear-filled adventures, including a high-speed run-in with a footloose army buddy, Harrison Ford, become the life-affirming story of two people finding themselves and one another. So this movie really sounds to me like one of those 1970s kind of like counterculture-y, like folksy character studies that I think was directly born of what BBS did to revolutionize American cinema. And why am I talking about that? I am currently reading this book, Easy Riders, Raging Bulls, which is about Hollywood from basically Bonnie and Clyde, which was 1967, up until about 1980 or so. I'm towards the end of it right now, so I'm reading about Raging Bull and Heaven's Gate. As you can see, this is how far into it I am, and stuff like that. And I've already read about so many. This book is absolutely freaking incredible, and if you love movies, and I think the people who watch this channel probably love kind of the world of movies that this book is talking about, because it's Coppola, Scorsese, Spielberg, Lucas, Paul Schrader, John Milius, Robert Altman. I'm trying to think like Bogdanovich, and then also it goes into like Harrison Ford is in it, obviously because of Lucas and Spielberg, and Dennis Hopper, Warren Beatty is in it a lot, and so the whole beginning of this book with after Bonnie and Clyde with Easy Rider and that whole like Jack Nicholson and that whole like school of filmmaking, which was BBS, which was the production company that kind of revolutionized these films, is about it's Easy Rider, 5 Easy Pieces, God, what else? The Last Detail, which was Hal Ashby, which is not, I don't think a BBS film, but it's like a lot of those same people were involved in it. The King of Marvin Gardens, like those types of movies were very much like with Easy Rider being obviously 1969. It very much like an early 70s thing, and that like that look at the counterculture and that look at those kind of like human grounded dramas that were more influenced by European cinema. And this really sounds like, I mean, it sounds like it might be a more crowd pleasing attempt. So it's like a comedy, remember? But it's like about like Vietnam vets and damaged Vietnam vets and like people who maybe are going to marry their old flame, but actually, you know, it's a woman who maybe it's her high school sweetheart, and that's traditionally what she would have done. But you know, with kind of the influence of the '60s and the hippies and stuff like that, you know, women are thinking outside the box and like that wave of feminism and all that kind of stuff. And so that really seems like the kind of movie that grew out of that movement. And so I'm really interested to watch it, having just basic, I mean, I'll probably be finished with that book within like the next few days, having just read that book, to watch that movie and kind of be able to look at that in that context. I'm really excited for that. So the last thing I have here, Eddie Macon's Run, starring cinematic legend Kirk Douglas. Hell yeah. I actually live like walking distance from the Kirk Douglas Theater too, so this man looms large over my life. Rest in peace, Kirk. And then this is John Schneider, who I think was most well known for being in The Dukes of Hazzard. I actually watched about 20 minutes of this movie last night. I'm going to try to finish it tonight after I'm done with this video. And this came out in the 80s, so I'll do a review for 80s Nerdgasm. When is this? 1983. And it's about a guy who is from Florida, and he has a wife and a young child, and he ends up in prison in Texas, and he breaks out of the prison, and then the lawman comes after him. And it's kind of one of those, like, in terms of the physical plot, it almost makes me think of that movie that Steven Spielberg did with Goldie Hawn, the name of which I'm not going to remember right now, but also like, you know, those kind of like Prisoner on the Lamb, like 70s Grindhouse type movies. It's an interesting movie because like a lot of it has this kind of like downtrodden working class, like 70s thing that makes me think of like Deer Hunter and other like class-based movies like that were looking at like factory workers and like farmers and those kinds of things. But then also like the pulpy cop versus criminal nature of it almost reminds me of like a 50s, like a Dragnet type thing, or like 50s or 60s cop shows and cop movies and stuff like that. So I'll be back with a review of that. Like I said, I watched about the first 20 minutes of it or so, and I was enjoying it. So hopefully I'll enjoy the whole thing. My name is Will. You have been watching our Mill Creek recent Blu-ray pickups video. Check those out. I'll include links in the description of this video to where you can go and find all of those things. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.